welcome to the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge on Race Stars TV. My name is Chris Mitchell, your host tonight, alongside Dave Roberts. Dave, we are taking a lot of young, red-hot drivers and we're giving them a shot at $15,000 worth of prize package for an elite driver academy in Sepang.
Yeah, pretty big prize for a young guy. A great opportunity to get themselves sort of really wedged into the lower levels of motorsport. So it should be pretty hot out there because it's a big prize. I'm sure they'll be trying their best to take it home.
Many of these youngsters are aspiring esports champions who have that glimmer of an opportunity to try and make a career in the real world. And you and I have been on about this for the last few weeks, Dave, talking about how sim racing is the new grassroots. And a lot of these youngsters, you can see them on the bottom right of the screen. We've got some webcams going to verify who's who in the Zoom and get to have an insight into what they're up to at the moment. Is Callan Chin there working pretty hard as he goes for a bit of an off during practice. Any one of these youngsters could win this competition today, open to the entire Asia-Pacific and Oceania region for one driver and one only to qualify in, race through the semi-finals, and if they win the main event, they go on to Sepang.
Yeah, so just to give people a little bit of an idea, the format for today is that there's two heats, so there's 12 cars in this heat. I don't know how many's in the other till we get there, but there's two heats and then a final, and the winner of the final will win a trip for two, so it's for them and the parent or guardian, and they will get accommodation, airfares and involvement in a international driver academy. So they'll get to learn a lot about what it takes to drive, not just what we talk about driving in the cockpit, but all the stuff that goes with it. So being able to read data and being physical preparation, mental preparation, all of that stuff. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for somebody, but that's the format. So we've got two heats and a final. So there's a big break in the middle. So there's two heats and then there's about an hour's break before they come back for the final, because a lot of manual stuff has to be done in the middle. So yeah, it should be pretty exciting, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be red hot. I'm really excited to see some of these youngsters. We've seen some of these names on this network before through Race Stars TV, through our FRG race nights. But of course, this is all thanks to Motorsport Australia putting this together, and we have some red hot names in the world of Australian drivers. Jack Lewis, a young Australian on screen right now, looking at finding his feet and seeing what he can do. Currently is 11th quick on time.
Looking very calm at the wheel there he is.
He is looking at
and just to give people a little insight is that it's only open to all of Asia Pacific, but all the drivers must be between 15 and 17 years of age.
So there's a lot of real young talent showing up in this. I was really interested reading through the information and details for the program, for the competition, for one, as an opportunity of a lifetime and how people can get involved, but the program and what's on offer, and you touched on it already with all the different aspects that come part of this program out in Malaysia with fitness training. There's even media and sponsorship analysis and training, which I think is really important for young drivers to make the next step, because you grab a young 14, 15-year-old, you say, okay, you're quick. What else can you do? Because it requires more than being just a quick driver to actually excel in this field.
And we see that now with Oscar Piastri in F1, is that what they're all raving about is how cool, calm and collected he is under pressure, how much of a sponge he is. He just soaks up everything, and really doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got great mental aptitude to what he's doing. So it's not just, yes, he is fast, but it's the other stuff that makes him really special. So hopefully this will give some of those guys an opportunity or an insight into that. And maybe we're looking at another young Oscar Piastri out there somewhere, Chris.
That's right. We could be seeing the next superstar that would be coming through the ranks, that you'll make it through and become one of the next big names in Australian or international motorsport. I mean, the names that we see coming through the ranks now started their campaign and started staring at this kind of lifestyle as a career opportunity, not just 5 years ago, but more than a decade ago for the likes of Oscar Piastri even. It takes so long to learn the ropes and train yourself to try and be one of the best if you want to race with the best in the world at any level.
So, yeah, I'm looking at some of the people out there. Tyson Hodge, who I don't know much about him, but he's been extremely quick in qualifying and practice. Kalen Chin, we've seen before on our coverage, and very, very quick young guy. As I understand, born in Australia, gone to school in Singapore, now back living in Australia. I think that's Kalen's story. And we saw Josh Clark there on screen at the moment.
So working our way through practice at the moment, just checking in on the way things are going to look regarding for the format today. And I was just trying to rapidly find my notes while I conveniently stalled for time. But what we're looking at here is you have your 2 semi-finals with 25 car grids, and then we are taking a 30 car grid from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's about how we're going to run, and then it's a 25-minute race to decide who's going to be your winner, and the winner who comes across the line, pending they don't have any post-race penalties in the grand.
And the other thing is they must have a webcam, so that there's proof of who's actually driving the simulation with such a large prize up. So all these guys are web streaming. Some of them are parental approved. They're the ones you see on screen, and some are just they may have an iPhone or something or other without parental sort of approval to take them to air. So look, that's what we're looking at there now on screen. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to have everyone in one, like a mega wall of drivers showing up.
Yeah, it's actually quite cool, isn't it? So we're on the grid now with Kalen Chin on pole next to Tyce Hodge.
Seth Brown will start from position number 3. Joining him on the second row, Lincoln Taylor, another Australian on row 2, with Caleb Balak and Reece Rolland lining up on the third row. Callum Newton will start alongside Mitchell McClure on row 4, with Edgar Chen joining Kane Goonan on row 5. It's a 12-car field with Clark and Lewis to line up behind. And straight into it, we're into the race, and a short sprint race it is, just 20 minutes in duration. Lewis getting a bit of a slow start from the rear, but Kalen Chin is going to lead the field down to the first chicane here at Imola for the first time.
Yeah, so we've seen Kalen Chin. He's a really good hot starter down through Tamburello. Through Tamburello there at the moment. Oh, is it Tamburello?
Yeah, it was Tamburello.
Yes.
Up towards Villeneuve Half, turns 5 and 6.
Yeah, so he's very, very solid, very, very quick out of the gate. So the tyres will still be a little bit cold at the moment, so that that will test a few of them. And I can see there Taylor and Brown getting very, very close there in third place at the moment.
Look at the lead two already though. Chin and Hodge breaking away as they climb up out of Tosa to Piratella at turn 9, and then they dive back down towards Aqua Minerale here. And you can see from the back of Taylor is looking at the front end of Seth Brown through the right-hander at Aqua Minerale. Brown closest right up under brakes at turn 12, the little kink at 13, and they're already switching and swapping across the racetrack to try and cover off the line and the run towards the Variante Alta chicane here at turns 14 and 15. This is a super tight part of the racetrack. It's going to create some great passing opportunities, but it can go wrong so easily with the big bumps at that chicane.
Yeah, that chicane's pretty savage, those curves, and especially on these cars, they don't particularly like big curves, and they certainly find a few of them around Imola. So now we're going through is that Ravazza there, the last double left-hander, and the run up through the start-finish line. They've sort of spread out a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap between all the cars. The front two seem to be making a bit of a break, but there's that sort of 5 or 6 car lengths between all of them. There's a charge from the back, and I think that's Goonan looking around the outside of Clark. Now, if I'm right, Goonan is son of one of the heads of motorsport in New Zealand, so he's a young New Zealand guy, I believe, Chris.
Well, how about that? We'll take all forms as Kane Goonan, the only Kiwi lining up in the field. We have a lot of Australians who have seized the opportunity to try and register for this Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. We go on board with Lincoln Taylor steering at the back, trying to lead up from Brown at the moment. Seth Brown just closing right up, has a little peekaboo onto the left-hand side, but Taylor shuts it off firmly in his face through Piratella at turn 9. And Seth Brown is going to have to do a better job than just closing up the nose if he wants to have a crack at moving up into third here.
These cars are quite, they're extremely equal, because they're sim racing cars, so we don't have performance difference in engine or whatever. But and they've all got a standard stock setup on it, so everyone's got the same setup. There's Seth Brown at the wheel, looking very cool, calm, and committed. Look at that run down the inside, and I think he's got it this time. He has. He's slid it down the inside. Can he hang on to it? No. We're out in the dirt. Oh, armfuls of lock.
Wow, good recovery from Seth Brown. Wowza, he was banging the lock stops trying to keep that one together through the dirt and almost buried itself into the gravel trap. Watch the replay in the bottom right-hand side of your screen.
He lives to fight another day.
Onto Taylor. Watch this, coming down towards Ravazza. He goes around the outside through the little kick at what is effectively turn 16. Hard on the brakes, very late on the brakes, and then washes straight across the curbing. Watch the lock that he's on, trying to hang on to it through the dirt and across the little service road. Just missed the next car coming through on the racetrack and lived to fight another day, but that has put him down in P6 in this semi-final race. And Lincoln Taylor will hang on to third. There's Seth Brown right behind Callum Newton. Newton having a pretty decent run here. P5 for Callum for the young Australian.
Now, I don't know whether any of these guys currently do any real-world motorsport or not, Chris. I imagine we've probably got some go-karters out there.
It's very likely. We've talked about it at length before, how so many of these young names in motorsport now, they go karting on the weekend with the family or racing with a team, and then they continue to cut their teeth and try and build their skills with their friends by sim racing on weeknights and before and after school. And that is the life that they live and breathe, and that's what builds up their skills so high.
Slow down.
That's a very big overreach of track limits there. There's Newton, and he's got dead concentration on his face right now. So we'll see whether he does have the slowdown from iRacing. As we just see Brown blinking in the background and then appears on the inside, and Brown almost a carbon copy of the move a lap ago, but this time he just kept on the racetrack down at turns 17 and 18 at Ravazza on this 4.9 kilometre Imola circuit here in iRacing.
Yeah, so I imagine there he's let him down the inside, but he would have got to slow down from that wide exit from Grassini chicane. So it was a good move, but I think it was aided by a bit of a slowdown. So they're all looking extremely high levels of concentration there.
They are. Chen showing
very wide again at the dirt.
Yeah, they're pushing very hard here. Callum Chen having no such trouble though. He's 1.6 seconds up the road at the moment after just 6 minutes in this race as they climb out of Toza through the little kink at turn 8. This is almost a blind entry. You bang it down a gear or so and you fire it into turn 9 at Piratella. And try not to use too much of the exit, otherwise it will give you a slowdown. And you tend to bottom out the car and can damage the floor with these low right height open wheelers. As out of Aqua Minerale comes Callum Chid, the Wave Italy entry. We've seen him perform so well in these cars with our Motorsports Australia FIA F4 E Series as he rocks it through turns 14 and 15, the chicane. A good use of enough exit, just trying to push the envelope wherever you can to maximize the exit speed from these cars because they're so limited on horsepower. A mistake in the middle of the corner might hurt you only a tenth in the corner, but it can hurt you half a second on the straight that follows after.
Oh, somebody around there. Then we've got a car around.
We're missing it. Who was that? That's a spin from Edgar Chen, who's having some trouble trying to turn the car around and get back on the
front end of that. Looks like it might be a bit bent, Chris. I think he may have a little bit of damage on board there.
We're getting the replay from Edgar Chen. What happened here down at Ravazza? Just a bit of a spin, and he's tried to get himself back into position, and has found himself on the grass, and he's done the double loop, trying to rejoin the race. Oh, that is incredibly frustrating there for Edgar Chen. Joining us from Singapore.
Not what he planned.
Challenge? No, not how he wanted to go in this race. He is now a lap down to your leaders. There's Chin and Hodge, 2.3 seconds the lead. A plethora of Australians in this series looking to try and, well, for one lucky driver, scoring themselves the win that would take them and their guardian off to Sepang in late September for the Elite Driver Academy. There's a bit of information available on the Driver Academy if you go through the Motorsports Australia website, the esports website especially. That's esports.motorsport.org.au. All the information surrounding the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenges there, including links that take you directly to the Elite Driver Academy information, and you get to see what's on offer at that academy. Of course, the main applications to be in the academy have now closed, but we have one lucky winner from today's race, scoring one of those last spots to go over to the academy and join the rest of them in Sepang.
Yeah, Callan Chen out there is really setting the track alight. He's in well into the 43s. Everyone else out there is in the 44s and higher. Look, there we go, 43.9. We've got Tice Hodge at 45.1, 44.8, 45.1. So Callan is really setting the pace. Is Mitch McClure in a bit of trouble there?
Yeah, I think he got into it with Clark down at Ravazza, 17 and 18 corners. We'll check on that one again.
A replay.
So he's gone for the inside.
Pull the dummy.
And he's been very far on the inside, and Clark has just turned in, and they've both run out of real estate very quickly. And that's caught them both out here.
Yeah, hopefully the car doesn't look too damaged, and hopefully he's good to continue. So, because really he's just trying to get himself a good position in the final here. Because, you know, if you finish 6th, you'll start 12th in the final. So, you know, or 11th or 12th, you'll start on the 6th row instead of 6th place. So, you know, it's fairly important you finish up the front here somewhere to give yourself a shot at that win in the final.
It's very much like a sprint car dash format that we see with the way these semi-finals are built. Every position is a row on the starting grid for the final race coming up. That's 25 minutes in duration here from Imola. So every spot can be crucial to setting yourself up for a good starting position in the final. Caleb Balak back there in P4 right now. Just get a bit of a shot. Just rocking a nice triple screen setup on board. I think that looks like one of those GSI wheels as well. They are full on as the Gomez wheels. And he is doing his best to try and hang on to P4 and stay in touch with the back of Lincoln Taylor in 3rd right now, out of Ravazza, and trying to get the power down. He's using a little bit of the exit curving, not as much, it should be said, as Callan Chin, who is maximising the exit from turn 18 to get a good run onto the not so main straight, as it's got, what, 2, 3, 4 kinks in it that actually count as turns 19 and 1, and then a couple more kinks down the end here before you get into the braking zone for the Tamburello chicane at turns 2, 3 and 4. The runoff and the transition, throwing the car from left to right between turns 3 and 4, can really upset the way they behave and put you into the very limited runoff area at the exit of turn 4. We jump forward to Tice Hodge in the 85 entry. And he's 2.8 seconds off the lead.
Going through Tozer there, and the exit there from Tozer is such a big steep climb up the hill, especially in these low-powered cars. The exit from that corner is so vital to a good lap here.
Yeah, it really punishes you if you make even the slightest of mistakes coming off that corner. With 8.5 minutes left to go, it's 2.8 seconds. The margin for Callan Chin out front right now as he climbs up the hill out of turn 13 towards turns 14, 15, the tight Varianti Alta chicane there, and just uses just enough exit. You can see he is just maximising every last piece of real estate here. And around this 4.9 kilometres and 19 turns at Imola, 216 k's an hour before we hit the braking zone down at Ravazza, using all of the runoff and the exit, the chicane, or the exit curving, and again maximising the exit curving at turn 18. And that's why he is continuing to stretch that lead out to almost 3 seconds over Tice Hodge back there in 2nd.
It's an interesting circuit. This is actually in the middle of a town. So as you drive along and you look to the right and the left, there's houses. There's houses sitting on the edge of the circuit. Down here is the very famous corner where, unfortunately, Ayrton Senna lost his life. But they couldn't do much about this corner and make it wider or put any more runoff, because there's a river that runs right down the outside, which was what flooded and cancelled the Imola Grand Prix this year. So interesting track though. If you have a look at it as they're driving around, you keep looking over the fences and everything, you'll see houses and front yards, and it's pretty impressive. It's a different world to the one we live in, where if you get a house within 3 kilometres of a track, they start complaining about the noise. But these guys seem to love it. They hang off the balconies and cheer them on.
Yeah, it's a different way of life out in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, in a place that is steeped in a culture surrounding motorsport. Of course, so many great names and great marks coming from this region as well. Mitch McClure now climbing out of Tosa at turn 7 and trying to hang on here. Is more or less trying to get back on a recovery drive after getting caught up earlier in the race in that incident. I think it was with Clark. Clark showing down in position number 9 now for Joshua. Look at this.
That was a bit of a charge over the curbs. Now this is getting really wild, and that's Seth Brown there in the back of that. And Seth's coming back through, charging back through, trying to. He's just backed out of that, and I think it's probably a smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's a smart move. I wonder what's happened though to Taylor, because he had a few seconds margin over Caleb Balak in P4, and Taylor has really lost out. He was 8 seconds off the lead, and now they're looking at 13
couple
seconds
little
off
mistakes
the lead as they're getting side by side and rubbing tyre sidewalls down the main straight here with just under
3 abreast.
Brown's going for the big
move
look over
from
the
Seth
curve.
Brown, and I love it. What a move. While Balak was looking in the mirrors at the guy on the outside, the guy on the inside just snuck through, unsuspecting. Brilliant move by Seth Brown. Fabulous bit of driving.
This all started back at turns 14, 15 at the chicane. Taylor on the defensive from Balak.
He's over that.
The curve and placed the car right on the nose of Caleb Balak, who had to dart hard to the left. Seth Brown's just creeping up on him, thinking, I've got to run here. That's looking good. And then the replay down the straight, they touched, that slowed them up. And look at this, Brown is just closing in the toe. The only place he can go is onto the far left, and Caleb moved a little bit late, and Brown was up over the curve to get the job done.
That's my pass of the day so far. That was a fabulous opportunistic move. I love it.
Well, that's exactly what we wanted to see with this kind of series. There's only a very small number of opportunities like this that come along in a young budding race driver's career, and if they have the chance to make a mark or even showcase their abilities in a race like this, and they're going to take whatever opportunity they can. Kellen Chin taking the opportunity to build himself an almost 4-second lead over Tice Hodge, just about, with 4.5 minutes left to go. 3.8 seconds the gap to Hodge back in second.
He really has motored off into the sunset, hasn't he?
He has, and Hodge is in just a huge amount of no man's land. You can see lap on lap there, the graphic telling us that Chin has just continued to throw down hot lap after hot lap. Even last lap's comparison, Callan Chin was 0.4 of a second almost quicker than Tice Hodge, setting the hot lap of the race. A 1:43.490 Hodge last time, but it was a 1:43.857. So 3.5 of a second quicker on the previous lap. But there you can see the laps before it's half a second, 1.5 tenths, 3 tenths, half a second again, 3.5 tenths. Chin is just continuing to build this massive gap out front with an unassailable lead with 3.5 minutes left to go.
Well, it may be an unassailable lead, but you've got to keep it on the road first. So, there's still an opportunity for everybody else, but it's probably Caelan's to lose now rather than anybody else's to win. There's another move at Kane Goonan pulling off what Seth Brown did, and jumping out of the toe there, up the inside, and that'll move him up into 9th spot. So having a bit of a tough debut here, but doing a good job and sort of hasn't given up, charging back through. And there's a long way to go because there's a whole final to go yet.
It sure is. We go back to your race leader, Kalen Chin, out of Ravazza at turns 17 and 18 before hugging the pit wall down the main straight. 2 minutes 40 left to go. He's built the gap to over 4 seconds now. Back to Tice Hodge in second with Seth Brown, who famously muscled his way through. There you can see there's a visualization of the gap. Now we'd have to sit here for another 10 seconds before we see, wait for it, they're coming. Seth Brown coming. There he is.
Big hole.
Third place. That's a massive gap that we've just been able to visualize there from second back to third between Hodge and Brown.
Yeah, and these two guys out in front really haven't challenged each other, so they've had a clear road, clean road. They haven't had to play defensive. With just head down, concentrate, and rip off fast lap after fast lap. Whereas the guys back behind, as we saw with Brown and Black and I can't think of the third one was, but
Taylor it was, who's actually falling further down the order now.
Yeah, we saw them battling side by side, and that slows them up, and that's what's created that 10-second hole. So, but Brown's got through that. Seth Brown's got back to where he started, or a little in front of where he started, and done a good job. And I think he's really fought back well. So good to see.
He's done a very nice job of it here. 4.2 seconds a gap between Callum Chin, your leader, and Tice Hodge further behind in second from Brown, Balak, and Callum Newton, who's up 2 spots to P5. Lincoln Taylor ultimately losing 2 spots from where he started in P4, was running as high as third for quite some time before he got stuck into it with Caleb and Brown a little bit earlier in the race. There's a look at your mega wall of drivers all in the sim at the moment and getting to work, trying to put in the best laps that they can for this grand opportunity on offer thanks to Motorsports Australia for this Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge.
There's one seat empty there on the left-hand side, Chris.
No, it's missing one. I think they'll be in the next semi-final set to come. Either that, or it could be from Edgar Chen, who is still circulating a lap down. So it wouldn't have been from Edgar Chen there. But one seat empty, might be one of the drivers due to take to the track coming up in the next semi-final. There's Edgar on track and in the sim. And he's gone the extra mile to get the background a little bit blurred out so we have some focus as Edgar runs in P12, a lap down at the moment with 10 seconds left on the master clock here for the first of the semi-finals in the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. Your race leader, Kalen Chin, coming down towards Aqua Mineralia at turns 11, 12 and 13 will charge up towards the final chicane and Severianti Alta turns 14, 15. One final execution, nice bounce across the curbs, helps the curbs to try and rotate the car in a fixed setup race this afternoon. It's just using the standard iRacing baseline setup for these cars, which is actually very robust and a great setup. That's it's been fantastic that we can have this beautiful representation of the real-world FIA officially sanctioned F4 car within iRacing with a great setup that makes them very realistic to drive as Kalen starts to weave and celebrate. The job half done for Kalen Chin. He takes the win in the first of the semi-finals here for the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge.
Well, he's ticked his first box on the way to Sepang. He's just got one more to do now, but it's not going to be easy.
It's not. Certainly isn't. Tice Hodge coming across the line in second. And Seth Brown with a robust move right there at that chicane or that curbing to grab third here. Caleb Balak across the line with a solid run and a personal best lap of the race to finish off in P4. Callum Newton crossing the line in P5 from Lincoln Taylor, who was running as high as P3 earlier in the race, finishing up P6, and Reece Rolland in P7. Mitch McClure in the 8 over the Kiwi. Kane Goonan in 9 as Rolland comes across the line. Goonan now coming out of the Varianti Alta. He's still a fair way away here. A minute 19 off the race lead and coming down towards turn 16 and the Ravazza double left-handers. So the Kiwi looking to finish off strong here.
That's that little double left-hander is a real sucker corner. It sucks you in because you're coming downhill into it. Camber's not particularly with you, and it's very, very easy to end up out in the boonies there.
We'll get a replay of the action that took place a little bit earlier. This was the highlight of the race with Seth Brown firing to the inside, up over the curb, got the car barely out on the top of the curbing as well. Was lucky he didn't rotate the car on top of the curving and take all three of them out of the race. But that was enough to secure Seth third place in the first of the sprint races, the semi-finals that will seed him into the main event a little bit later on with a very solid drive. There's a look at your provisional results. Kalen Chin taking the win, 4.3 seconds clear of Tice Hodge in second. Seth Brown, with that move, was 10.5 seconds further adrift in P3 there. Caleb Balak in P4 from Callum Newton in P5, 24 seconds off the race lead. Lincoln Taylor to P6 from Reese Rowland, Mitch McClure, Kane Goonan, the Kiwi, a minute 19 off the race lead from Joshua Clark and Jack Lewis, with Gekka Chen going a lap down from Singapore to try and jump in. No penalties, we've been told from race control, so the classifications is as it stands, and we confirm those results at the same time as we get our winner in. We're going to grab our rest of our podium in as well. Congratulations to Kalen Chin taking the win in the first of the semi-finals.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was a little bit nervous at the start. I made a couple mistakes in lap 1 and 2, which fair play to Tice, he got me on edge. But once he made a mistake and I ran away, it was game over from there. So,
were you nervous about any kind of pace advantage that you might have had, and then trying to undo that with those mistakes, or was it just a matter of making sure you could kind of settle those nerves and get out front and get away with it?
It was more of just I was afraid of battling. But I mean, I just wasn't really focused in the first 2 laps. I was too pressured, if that makes sense.
So the pressure
that was only the heat. It was only the heat.
I was, my heart was beating really fast for no reason. So yeah, but it's all good now.
Well, there is a lot on the line. I'm sure it doesn't need to be reiterated to you. There's a potential $15,000 valued prize and the trip to Sepang if you're able to clean things up in the feature coming up very soon. How do you fancy your chances with the pace that you've shown so far?
Boy, it'll be very tough to see. I mean, Cody and Tice were both quick yesterday, so it really depends on the racecraft in the grand final. I mean,
congratulations at least for taking the win in the semi-final. We'll go to Tice Hodge coming home in second. Congratulations, Tice, through on the podium from the first of the semi-finals.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It was a tough race with Kalen. As soon as he got away, I got out of a slipstream. He just went off into the distance after I made that little mistake. But yeah, it was very fun. I was also very nervous at the start, so hopefully I can get a better start than Kalen in the feature race and maybe get in front of him.
Well, the second place finish here in the semi-final secures you a second row start. How important is it to have good track position for a 25-minute, effectively still a sprint race for the grand final coming up?
Yeah, it's really important because slipstream is really big around this track, and as soon as you're a second down the road from the car ahead, you just couldn't catch up, and that's what happened to me, and I just kept losing 3 tenths a lap. It's just way too fast.
So you need to stay with him to have a chance. Give us a bit of an outline of your current racing career and your racing background so far. I think you've done a bit of work with the XLs at the moment?
Yeah, I'm currently racing the Victorian XL series in Australia, and then before that I was in go-karts and just hoping to see what my career can do.
So how much would a prize like this mean if you were able to take out the grand prize and head to Sepang?
Bet mean heaps. I could further my career and just learn all the things I'll learn there. It would be just really helpful for real life racing.
It's fantastic. How old are you again?
15.
15 years of age. Congratulations, Tice. Second place today in the first of the sprints or the semi-finals. We'll jump to Seth Brown. Congratulations going to Seth. We know you're coming from a bit of karting experience. How good was that move on the main straight? He must have been up in your seat and pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had to do that for myself after my ego plummeted after I had overshot the corner about 10 kart lengths. But Yeah, I knew I had the pace, but I didn't realize how much little amount of grip there was at the first couple laps.
So it was simply just a tire warm-up catching you out, was it? Or was it a track temperature thing? Doesn't seem to be a very hot track, but we know in iRacing it can be pretty sensitive sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, first race in F4 in this category, I'm used to V8s. First lap is your fastest, so yeah, I didn't expect the lack of grip at the start, but then after that, I kind of cooled myself down and got some pace.
So for a young driver like yourself, how old are you now?
16.
16 years of age, and you're still in karts right now?
Yeah.
So how much would it mean to be able to potentially be in a shot if you could win this race today and score that trip to Sepang?
Yeah, just the experience that comes with it, or like the connections you get with all like the guys who run it and stuff. Yeah, it'd just be a good opportunity.
Fantastic stuff. Well, congratulations to you, Seth, for coming home on the podium in the semi-final. Dave Roberts, anything to add, my friend?
No, that was a magic move. I love an opportunistic move, and that was a beauty with the double toe and a little bit of curb, and mate, you more than made up for your little indiscretion early on. So great drive, really, really nice to watch.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, that's your podium from the first of the semi-finals. We'll see them coming up very soon in your grand finale. Thank you, gents. We'll let you go take a rest and breathe.
I think they'll probably sit back and watch the other heat, Chris. They'll be sitting back and watch the other heat and then having a little break while they sort of try and calm their nerves for the final, I imagine.
Why wouldn't you? So we'll let them get on out of here and go enjoy themselves for the meantime. Before we get stuck into it, we are 4 minutes to go in the practice or the warm-up session ahead of the second semi-final. We've got some names stacking up in this one, Dave.
Yeah, so we've got Cody Deeth there, quickest at the moment. 43.3 is a really quick time. So, yeah, he's certainly got the speed, it appears, to take it to Carlin Chen.
It's going to be exciting to watch Hayden Sell in the 9.5 Sim Sport entry as well, showing up with the 82, making his way out of Tamburello and down through the first couple of chicanes. He's currently second on pace. He's only a 10th behind on the fastest lap so far. So Hayden Sell really showing up there. We might have a real bad hands here. Jamie Christensen currently third on time, about 8/10 of a second adrift. I think that's a Vermilion Sim Sports livery on that.
It looks like it, and I think the Hayden Sell's one of the racecraft cars.
Yeah, we've come from 9.5 Sim Sport, who are very well tied up with Johnny at Racecraft, speaking from experience. Anthony Alessi there in fourth. Currently almost a second off the lead pace from Cody Deeth right now at this stage in the practice session. Doing a nice job making his way through the first couple of chicanes in the 98 car. And getting to work here. There's a shot of Anthony on screen. He's rocking, that's a Gran Turismo wheel right there. So it's great to see some of the different sim equipment and showcasing that you don't always need to have the best equipment to be relatively quick at this level.
Not the best, most expensive. Let's put it that way, Chris.
Yeah, well, we know a lot of the forums will tell you that if you want to be of a higher driver rating, you need to go out and spend a whole bunch of money. But it's just simply not true. Even there, we see Fletcher Driscoll rocking the old, it's a belt drive or a gear drive Logitech system. Even with the TV up on the counter a fair ways away. He's still got the PlayStation in the corner as well. It's usually where most people get started before they transition to the PC world and end up in iRacing and taking things a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, so it's great to see that these guys, even if they don't win today, they get the experience of the pressure of that pressure cooker environment of basically a shootout for a scholarship, which is, it's cool. It's a good experience to have. Once you've done it, you just understand it a little bit more, and the nerves aren't quite so bad the next time. It was really interesting to hear Callan Chin how much nerves he had. So that's pressure on. Look, rocking the Ayrton Senna helmet there. So Ayrton Filippi in the Ayrton Senna helmet. That's got to be a bit of heroism, isn't it?
It absolutely would be. If you had the name, you wouldn't want to not be liking the guy and the legacy that he left and the career that he ran at the highest level of the sport, still well regarded in the modern era as the greatest, not just one of the greatest driver of all time, as Ayrton Filippi, currently 11th on track. We see a few new faces cropping up in this one. Hayden Sell there in the middle of the screen with the 95 SimSport t-shirt, rocking that. And he's even got his old NASA panel from his karting days parked up on the wall next to him as well.
So I'm imagining this is Hayden Sell coming in the pit lane now. So that's who you were talking about a moment ago. He's only 0.169 off Deeth, so he's certainly looking to stick this thing right at the front. That's going to be a great battle to watch with the front two so close together. Christensen is just a little bit back. But certainly well within reach, and it only takes one little quick mistake, Chris, and it's the whole complexion of the race will change.
Absolutely right, and of course this is the semi-final. It's merely a formality. I think we are taking 30 into the main event, so every player wins a prize today, as at least they get the start in the main event. But once we get into that main race, one mistake, no matter how quick you are, and it can undo all this work and put you out of contention for the main prize as we conclude the practice session and we get a look at your starting grid. Cody Deeth due to start on pole alongside Hayden Sell on the first row of the starting grid. Jamie Christensen due to start alongside Anthony Alessi on row 2. Thomas Suliok alongside Oscar Suliok starting from row 3 with Harrison Spencer and Alex Wilson starting from row 4. Chris Z and Ayrton Filippi starting out at row 5. And we'll see Fletcher Driscoll and Nico Mendez rounding out your 6 starting rows. A short heat race style grid here as we get them racked and stacked, and they're keen because they're all loaded in and ready to rock and roll for 20 minutes as we go green from Imola for the second semi-final, the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge for Motorsports Australia.
So it looks like Deeth has got that whole shot out of the gates, and he's established himself right in the lead there. And Christensen and Sell. Now Sell's dropped back to third, so he's not got away as well as he'd hoped. We can see Christensen there weaving side by side, trying to get a bit of heat into the tyres. But Deeth is a pretty tough character, and I think he's going to look to do exactly what we saw Kalen Chin do in the last one. That's make a quick breakaway and get out of the action. Seen a few popping in and out there. That's a bit of internet connection. We do have people all over the place logged into this, so that does happen occasionally. It looked like one into the fence, and that is Wilson.
Wow, that's big off too. That's taken the rear wing off the car, and Wilson maybe pushing a little bit too hard up there at turn 9. I think that was. It's a very fast entry to the corner and very easy if you mount the curb on the exit to lose the car. Let's see how it went down here for Alex Wilson. We climbed the hill up towards turn 9, and he's actually looks like he's got a bit of a hand there from behind. So the 4 car of Ayrton Filippi fires it into the back of him, and Wilson went for a wild ride, flying into the barrier at the top of turn 9, and that has done a fair bit of damage to that car. So that's going to be Wilson in the pit, and he's probably not going to take much further part in this race.
And I think that Ayrton may be listening to a little bit of communication from race control very shortly, would be my thought probably on that.
Yeah, I think just looking at the stewards run sheet to see we have a live race control that will issue penalties if needed, if they see fit. And
there we go.
The confirmation drive-through penalty for Ayrton Filippi there for causing that incident on the first lap. So Ayrton already with the damage on the front of the nose of the car after firing into the back of Wilson up at turn 9 now has to serve a drive-through, although he's stalking right up onto the rear of Nico Mendez for P7 right now.
Yeah, so that will take Filippi completely out of contention, because by the time he transverses that pit lane, although it's a pretty quick pit lane here at Imola, it'll drop him right to the back of the field, I would think.
We watch Anthony Alessi coming down towards Aquaman of Raleigh there. Fletcher Driscoll having a spin at the second chicane before heading into the Toza hairpin. We'll go back to Alessi here, who's under pressure from the first of the Suliot cars. The one car of Thomas having a bit of a look, bit of a bo peep up to his gearbox.
I wonder if they're both in the same room, Chris. Are they both on the same webcam, or are they all individual ones?
Now that'd be the way to get them going, wouldn't it? As we don't actually get to see. They're not in the main webcam broadcast. We do have a secondary webcam just for the stewards to corroborate that they are who they say they are, but they're not going to be joining us on the broadcast. So we'll let that question as unanswered as Thomas trying to close up right onto the back of Alessi for P4 on the racetrack here in this early stage of the race. Gets the toe down the straight and looks out to go side by side with a little kink on the main straight before we head down towards the Tamburello chicane. And Thomas gets
a big dodge.
Wow. Alessi went for the last of the late breakers maneuver and outbraked Suliot to hold on to P4. That's a good way to defend because he didn't actually need to move over the racetrack at all. Just was the latest on the brakes and held on to that spot.
Yeah, so we've seen Filippi go through the pit lane there, so he's now back in 10th, and he'll be trying to charge back through. He's got Suliot number 2 in front of him, and he's about 9 seconds off. So that's unfortunate, but you know, it's motor racing. You know, you can't sort of punt people from behind. You know, the race stewards come down on you, and it's exactly the same in Simland as it is in the real world.
That's right. Now, FRG race officials and stewards take pride in having one of probably the best formats of racing and looking after the behaviour inside the race that I've seen in my time on iRacing and my time in the real world of motorsports as well. It's live, it's interactive, it's transparent, and no one gets away with anything untoward, and everyone actually respects the system. So it's a fantastic way to go about hosting these events, and that's why we utilise them for races like this with Motorsports Australia for the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge, as Suliot lines up for another crack here at Alessi for position 4. You can see just tucking into the toe. And just
got a very good run onto the straight there, Chris.
He did, and you see Alessi just giving him a bit of a tight window to try and drive through, squeezing him down to the curve, and again Alessi late on the brakes, and Thomas just thinks about and backs out. I think Thomas is being pretty cautious under brakes there into the Tamburello chicane, and that's allowing Alessi to kick the elbows out and drive past on the brakes, and Thomas still has to sit back there in P5 right now.
It's a very, very deliberate late brake around the outside, and he can do it because he's a little bit wider into the corner, so he doesn't have to turn in quite as sharp. But it's certainly been impressive those last couple of times, and he really is showing a bit of demon braking there, Chris.
Sure is, as we watch from the rear gearbox of Anthony Alessi in the official F4 car inside iRacing. How good is this? They got behind this car and brought it to the masses, and how popular it's been for inexperienced and professional racers alike inside the service, and young drivers looking to develop their talents in events such as this inside that program, because man, oh man, these cars can put on some great racing. They're low power, big tires, lots of grip, but not a whole bunch of aeros. We watch from Jamie Christensen and his onboard as well. Must be feeling a bit cold. He's got the jumper hooked up and everything while he gets to work in second, trying to chase down Cody Deef.
Yeah, so he's done a fantastic job in holding off Sell there and establishing himself and really trying to solidify that second position on the road. He's still under fire, but he's done a great job so far. And in the Vermilion Motorsport colours there, Chris, I'm going to say he's just not able to pull it off.
Yeah, no. But now this has brought up Mendes into the fight. We've got 3 cars all starting to squabble over the same position now, and Suliot is sensing a bit of urgency to get on with it and get the move done, because Nico Mendes is going to come and pickpocket both of them if he's not careful as they go down towards the Toza hairpin. And Suliak a little bit wide. We're on board with Mendes. And the look of concentration on his face as he tries to make those split-second decisions on what side of the racetrack he's going to move to. Meanwhile, Suliak looking to the inside, up into turn 9, again backs out of it. And they're just continuing to slow each other down here. And Mendes has probably got the box seat right now, but he needs to get up into it, get involved.
I think he's having trouble because the road is full of cars in front of him. He's not really finding anywhere he can go through. So he's sitting on the back of it. I think he's doing a good job. He's not pushing it. He's looking to capitalise on a mistake like that one. There we go. Yeah, that was
Just
very good because I thought he had a run, but they pulled it back in and he managed to just pull that car back a little bit. Now, can he get down the inside here? I think he can do this because we've seen that, yes, he can. Can he keep it on the road? Yes, he can. Great little move. We're seeing a little bit of a weakness there from Suliak in under brakes. So, that might be equipment. It might be car, just the way he's driving the car. I'm not quite sure, but he's certainly been a little bit vulnerable under brakes there, which is, something I'm sure he'll review this before the final and see what he can do about making that car a little bit more to his liking under brakes. I don't know how he does that, but it might be in the setup, in his own setup.
While the setups are fixed inside the system, there's so much that can sometimes be gained with familiarising the setup of your own sim rig to suit the way you like to drive, and little adjustments like brake bias movements, which is an active adjustment you can do inside the car. As we get a shot of Cody Deeth getting to work out front, 2.5 seconds clear of Christensen in second with the Vermilion Sim Sports entry, and Deeth is just monstering away from the field here as we about to cross over the halfway point. 10 down and 10 to go here, and Cody confident enough in his speed on track. Doesn't have the mirrors turned on inside sim. You can just see that on the very right hand side of the bottom right corner of the shot right now. He has the mirrors completely blanked out. Sometimes there can be a distraction, and sometimes they can just rob maybe a little bit too much computer performance from your system, that you just want to turn them off so you can have a few more extra frames in the car.
Yeah, no, that's a side monitor, so we're not actually seeing the front one, but I imagine he's got the what I call the magic mirror up the top. So again, this battle for second here is a cracker. I think though we're seeing a change. I think we're going to see Sell through. Oh, again that outside move. No,
big side of the curb there for Sell.
Got to watch that with these cars. You can easily break a suspension on those big curves. So he's through in a second. It's a bit of a replay of the first heat, isn't it, Chris? The way that Deeth has been able to run away a little bit like Kalen Chen did in the first one. So
yeah, it's going to be exciting to see those guys get together in our grand final coming up here. But Sell muscling his way through to second on Christensen. Here we go. Mendes looking for a repeat move on the inside at Toza. And Alessi is going to go around the outside. He is making that Air 4 car very, very wide for all comers. He's already fended off Suliak, who's lost out to Mendes. Now Nico wants to get involved in the action. And Alessi is showing him just how wide he can make that car appear, because that was a brilliant drive to hold the outside line, get the drive off the hairpin and stay in front. But a little bit of a lock up in P3. He seems to be a bit shaken at the moment, is Alessi. And this will see Mendes get the nose in front into the chicane here. This could go wrong very quickly, but side by side under brakes. And Mendes gets the job done and moves up into P4. That was a beautiful move.
Yeah, it was nice. He held him out wide, and we saw there that Alessi locked a little bit of a brake and unsettled the car, and that's given him just that 2 or 3 car lengths now, Chris. So can he now get his head down and get away from those guys behind? I'm not sure how far it is up ahead to Christensen, but he's not. He doesn't want these guys all over his mirrors. He's going to try and look ahead, ignore the mirrors. So we'll see what he can do. So there he's 11 seconds off. So he's not. I don't think he's going to catch the guys in front, but he's just trying to get rid rid of the tail, but the toe is such that it's very hard to get rid of somebody who's behind you, because every time you get in a straight line, you tow them along and they close up on you. So very, very hard to break that.
Yeah, it is, especially at this circuit with realistically 1, 2, 3, potentially even 4 straights that are long enough to really have an impact with the toe. And now you can see Nico having to run the defensive line through the Tozer hairpin, and he exits nicely. And again, he's going to be vulnerable here from Alessi behind. We're watching from Thomas Suliok's perspective as Mendes covers the inside line up into turn 9 at Piratella, and doesn't really use all of the track width on the exit. That's going to leave both of them exposed, but nowhere to go for Thomas as they head down towards Aqua Minerale, and it can be easy to pinch a tyre and run wide here at turn 13, but they all get through very nicely. And again, Mendes immediately just parking in the middle of the racetrack, trying to ward off any challenge that may come from Alessi or Suliok until he can try and trip them up a little bit, slow them down, and get himself that half second to 1 second buffer that he needs to be out of the toe.
Yeah, he's not pulling it off at the moment, but he's looking comfortable there in third, in fourth place. But he's certainly not getting away from the two guys behind. They're still in that toe range. They're still using his slipstream to stay in touch. So yeah, pretty big battle. Now we've got to move to position there, is it?
Well, it's still Sell and Christensen still fighting it out for second and third. Sell was showing pretty close. Christensen was actually fairly close. We'll see what the go is here. He just got it in the toe, and Jamie Christensen couldn't look to the inside. Hayden's doing a great job of defending that, so decided to try and outbreak him around the outside into the Tamburello chicane, but Hayden pulls off the defense and holds on to second here. This battle's going to continue on, I think, for the next few minutes, with 5 minutes and 20 left to go in the second semi-final here for the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge on Race Stars TV. You can see Hayden maximising the exit there at turn 9, trying to use every last inch of the racetrack, and then maybe a couple of inches more where you can get away with it and iRacing won't give you a slowdown. Christensen doing that at turn 13, all 4 wheels off the racetrack. He'll be very careful not to get the slowdown, because that's one of the parts of this track that iRacing will give you a slowdown penalty, and he'll very quickly kiss that gap goodbye.
Now Mendes and Alessi here have got a little bit of a break on Suliok. Only a few cars, but it's enough that they might be able to work together and get away. So looking down through the field there, Z there in 8th. Yeah, he's a couple of seconds off Spencer. So these guys right back through, even if they're not winning this, they're getting great experience. And Spencer and Z, a couple of seconds between them. Suliok B, back another 2 or 3 seconds. So they're all in touch with each other. Nobody's really having a lonely race, but they're struggling to really make moves around here. This car is a hard car to make a break with, but also as you get close to the car in front, you get a little bit of aero wash. The car loses a little bit of grip, and it's pretty hard to drive right in the slipstream of somebody else, Chris.
Yeah, Ayrton Filippi on screen right now is taxi driving the wheel. The way he's holding on there, you can see actually the wheel rocking on the mounts as Ayrton was involved in that incident on the opening lap up at turn 9.
I'm finding the Ayrton name and the Ayrton helmet, but we've got a Ferrari t-shirt.
He's
covering every base. He's covering every base.
As he runs in P10 here in the second semi-final. 3 minutes and 10 left on the clock here for Ayrton. You can see he's still sporting the damage to the nose of that car, which would not be helping him get around the track at all. The aero that is hurting him. But it's interesting we talk about the aero wash, because we also talk about how little these cars run in aero. And Luke getting up some pictures that ties together the Ayrton and the cars in red.
Yeah, he did. I think he did test the Ferrari. He did test the Ferrari somewhere in history, I think, quietly, secretly.
Yeah. I don't think it was very secret. I think it was very public at that point. That's or at least it's been public after. Look at this, Mendes and Alessi getting involved in it again. Alessi goes back through to P4. Mendes on the back foot with the maximum attack entry. now can get the advantage of the toe on the main straight with 2 minutes and 20 left to go. Which side does he choose? Well, Leslie made the decision for it. Chose the pit wall, so now Mendes can choose the inside, and that sets him up nicely. And he's gone to the far inside and is going to try and hold him out under brakes to the Tamburello chicane. Gets it done. But you have to say that fight isn't quite over yet, because neither of them seem to be able to get away. And that toe is so powerful if you're within that 6 to 7 tenths of a second range.
Yeah, and it looks like Sulyok's dropped off the back of these guys a little bit, so he's fading a little bit as the race has gone on. That may be, he may have got the tyres a bit too hot in running in, but somebody in the fence there, because we can see the smoke, and that's Christensen. I think it's Christensen.
Well, I'm wondering what's going on. Yes, it is Christensen showing up. So I wonder what's happened there. He's parked up on the racetrack up at turn 9, I believe. What's going on here? Jamie Christensen is already got damage at that point. Look at the left front and the front end of the car already having some damage, and it won't turn. It locks the tire and he comes to a stop. So
I wonder what he's done. Has he done that back at the first chicane?
Well, I'm struggling to try and think. He was in a bit of a battle with Hayden Sell. Here we are watching Fletcher Driscoll with a spin. Now that's elsewhere on the racetrack. That's down on the exit of Ravazza. Driscoll getting back up and going. Now Driscoll down in 12th position. Cody Deeth coming up to pass him. So this might be a bit of a long run replay. I can feel like there's something building here, because only a few seconds further back, and this one would be Christensen and Sell. And at this point, the cars
what's gone on here?
Straight. So
I'm thinking maybe he's done something on the big curbs.
Yeah. Oh, here we go for Christensen. Closing. Following Hayden Sell, who's still maintaining second. They come out of the toes a hairpin. Here we go. There it is.
There it is.
That's heartbreaking.
Dear. That's dreadful. So
there
is that?
Is.
Oh, just sit still.
Yeah, so Driscoll driving across the racetrack, and Christensen in full flight couldn't get across to the left-hand side quick enough and copped that huge amount of damage. So that puts Jamie in the pit lane with no time left in this semi-final.
No.
Cody Deeth in the Williams Esports entry number 12 coming out of the Variante Alta chicane and making his way down towards Ravazza for the final time. It's been a textbook domination of this field, a 4.7 second gap back to the Hayden Sell, and clicking off some pretty fast hot laps here from Cody Deeth. It's going to be exciting to see what he can do in the grand finale as he runs it to the line and takes the win in the second of the semi-finals, as we see a 20-second penalty for Fletcher Driscoll there for an unsafe re-entry that caused the incident ending Jamie Christensen's race. We'll see Hayden Sell come across the line in second, and it will see Nico Mendes grabbing third, running it to the line eventually, as Mendes runs it to the line to grab P3. And something else happened there as well, because Sulyok up into P4 and Alessi ended up P5. So I wonder whether he dropped off or got himself a slowdown, because Alessi's a long way off the back of that battle that he was involved in ultimately for P4.
And now we've got Spencer falling down through the list as well. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but it'd be great if our director could maybe find a little bit of footage of what went on with Alessi, yeah. I'm interested to see what happened there as well, while we're focusing on a few of the other cars in the closing stage. This is the replay. This is Alessi and Mendes through the Villeneuve chicane. He's taking that big curb on the inside.
And the curve bit him back, and he was lucky to roll across the track and get out of harm's way very quickly. But that was the reason why Anthony Alessi fell off that battle. So he's got a little too greedy on the curb there at the
a little unsighted behind the car in front as well.
And here's one for Oscar Sulyok, who comes up, and that actually watches what happened there for Harrison Spencer, who got caught up on the exit of Ravazza, and Oscar goes sailing on by. Thanks for coming. It's a 2-for-1 deal as well, as Chris Z goes sailing on past and pips off Z, or puts off Spencer, who ended up being dropped down to P8 after that incident on the exit of the final couple of corners.
Now they'll head back to pit lane and sort of calm their nerves and see if they can pull themselves together for the final. But Deeth showing a fantastic turn of speed. I can't wait to see that battle between Deeth and Chin in the final. And mate, it's anyone's race, because when you got two guys at the front going that hard with such a big prize, it's not hard to think that anything could happen. And there's Hayden Sell, Mendez, there's guys sitting there right behind, ready to pick up whatever pieces are available and book their trip to Malaysia.
Well, that's absolutely right. I can't wait to see what's going to come at us for the grand final, as we just get some nice static shots around the Imola circuit. It was Cody Deeth taking the win. We'll get a shot at your provisional results coming up here. Deeth with the win, 4.6 seconds clear from Hayden Sell in the 9.5 Sim Sports 82 entry, home in second. Nico Mendez grabbing third at the end from Thomas Sulyok and Anthony Alessi, who got caught out with that incident in the closing stages in a spin at the Villeneuve chicane to go P5. Oscar Sulyok P6, Harrison Spencer P7, Ayrton Filippi P8 from Chris Z in the 9, Alex Wilson coming home P10, and Jamie Christensen ending up P11 after running as high as second for quite a long time in the race, caught up with that unsafe re-entry from Fletcher Driscoll that ended his campaign. The benefit is here, every player wins a prize and everybody will get a start in the grand final and a berth to have a crack at winning the grand prize, and that $15,000 value open trip to head to Sepang for the Driver Academy. We're getting a few of our podium getting dropped into the broadcast room. Congratulations to Cody Deeth.
Thank you, guys. Actually expected not to be as quick then, but yeah, that was good.
What's the motivation driving you behind how you didn't expect to be as quick?
Oh, well, like yesterday, in the pre-qualifying, could barely string a lap together, but seemed to do it right that one.
So that's what practice is for, mate. A great drive from the lead, getting it done. 4.6 seconds. What do you feel you've got coming into the grand final?
Well, I guess we'll wait and see. Kalen he's very quick. Qualified first for pre-qual, so we'll see if we can try and go with him in the race.
What could a prize like this mean for your career and your development at such a young age?
Well, I think it'd just be overall just a great experience, like being able to go to Malaysia, get coached by the best in the business would be pretty cool to go over there and have a crack.
Well, best of luck, mate. You've done all the work to get this far already, and can't wait to see this grand final coming up to see what you can do.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Cheers.
We'll go to second place, Hayden Sell. Congratulations, Hayden. You had some pace in the practice and a front row start, but you lost out at the start there, and that kind of set up the scene for a bit of a fight there with Jamie.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, bit of not the best start, and then sort of struggled at the start of the race to get comfortable and get in a rhythm, but then start to get a lot more pace at the end and get comfortable again. So I think we've definitely got a gap to close to Cody in that final, but yeah, I think we'll be a lot closer than that if we can just get settled a lot earlier on.
So Hayden, what will you be doing in the time now? You've got about an hour before the final. What will you be doing during that hour to get yourself, try and find that gap?
I think maybe just try and get more comfortable in the cold tyres. I think it was mainly just not being settled enough at the start of the race with cars around, so hopefully in the next one we'll be alright with it. But yeah, do a little bit of practice, but I think we're alright.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you take it to the guys at the front and in the final.
Yeah, thank you. Do my best.
And lastly, Hayden, what would a prize like this mean for you at your level of career? What are you looking for out of this?
Yeah, definitely. It helped me a lot. To be honest, I have done karting in the past, but where I want to sort of go in motorsport isn't necessarily driving part. I have a lot of interest in the engineering part and like a race engineer role. So I think this definitely helped me get a bit of an insight into, what that sort of takes in this industry. And yeah, I think it benefit me a bit different to what others are looking for, but yeah, definitely help.
Best of luck, mate, for the grand final coming up, and we'll see what you can do in the race.
Thank you.
And we'll jump now to third place, Nico Mendes, up 9 spots from where you started. How much fun was that race, mate?
No, it was pretty fun, pretty entertaining, starting from the back. I just didn't get a lap in qualifying yesterday, just didn't compete in it. But it was pretty entertaining.
Mate, you found yourself in the prime spot. You'll go to the third row of the grid for the grand final. Do you think you've got some pace to try and make some magic happen from the third row?
Considering Friday practice, my pace wasn't too bad. It was only a few tenths off, 2 to 3 tenths off. But during the race, just couldn't really show my pace, just fighting through the pack. So I think with a bit more practice, I think I could be right up there.
And you think you can make something happen inside 25 minutes? Because it's not a very long race, and we're expecting a lot of the race results to kind of hinge on getting a good start. How crucial is it, and how difficult is it to get a good start in these cars?
It's pretty difficult on the cold tire. Car's just a bit too unsettled. So I think it's just crucial to be good on that cold tire just to get that advantage on everyone else.
Well, best of luck, Nico. We'll look forward to seeing you in the final coming up very shortly. We'll let you go. We'll go get sorted and settled ahead of our grand final coming up. 25 minutes will be the race, Dave Roberts. What time are we due to kick that one off for our grand final?
I have absolutely no idea, Chris.
Well, I'm just double checking our details from race control. So the final due to start from approximately 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we should be
45 minutes away.
Not too far away from getting that one. We're just waiting on final instructions to come and get that sorted. And what we will see all the drivers you've just seen race from their semi-finals locked into a maximum 25 car grid for 25 minutes. And the winner, Dave, will take home the grand prize, which is a fully funded trip for not just them, but their guardian included as well. Of course, all of the drivers between the ages of 14 and 17 in this Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. They'll get a fully funded trip to go to Sepang for the Elite Driver Academy worth $15,000, where they can learn a lot of the skills to help them develop as drivers and beyond in the world of motorsports.
Yeah, I found that really interesting. Hayden Sell there talking about, he's got more interest in being an engineer and what he could learn from that. And I think that's fantastic. I love to see that it's not just about driving the car, because there's so many fantastic careers in motorsport available these days. I was reading about Bowles, the new head of Williams, and how he got in there, and he'd done very well at school, and he just sent a letter to every team, and they all knocked him back. And so he went and did a bit more work and got involved with a few teams doing stuff, and he eventually got himself a seat in at Mercedes. He's been at Mercedes for years now, and he's just taken over the head team manager role at Williams. And any one of these guys could do that. It's not always about driving the car.
That's right. There's so many elements that are required to make a team like that function, and there's more than just drivers to make a successful racing team, with engineers and strategists, even to the world of finance and marketing to make these teams successful. So it's exciting to see that there's youngsters out there who are angling at the driver side of things, but also looking at other opportunities within the world of motorsports. We are going to take the short break required before we get on back for the grand final. We're going to be running the countdown, and we'll be back at 5 to 5 on Eastern Standard Times for the grand final here on Race Stars TV for the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. Set your watch, countdown will be running, and we'll be back very soon. Welcome back. It's grand final time. The Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. From the Imola circuit, we've had our 2 qualifying semi-finals, and now we're back for the main event. Dave Roberts, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, it should be pretty serious stuff out there. There's not going to take any prisoners, I don't expect, with what's on offer. So good to be back. I wonder what the boys have been doing. I bet they're all sweating. I bet they're all nervous. They're all in their rigs going, mate, this is make or break time. Pressure is on.
There's been a bit of conversation in the chat after the semi-finals, and there's some talk about how much curb you can take. There's a great picture from the in-chat from the Motorsports Australia Discord of Callan Chin's car completely over the top of the curbing. I think that's at the second set of chicanes at turns 14 and 15. It's pretty fun to see what the boys have been up to, but they are lining up in practice at the moment, getting ready for the 25-minute main event, and I think it's worth noting and emphasizing the fact that this is a one-shot deal, Dave. There's no second chance, there's no championship, there's no drop. There's simply 25-minute sprint, as you will, with these F4 cars, the official F4 car inside iRacing, and the winner will score the fully funded package to go to Sepang for the Elite Driver Academy.
Yeah, it's sudden death, mate. It is really sudden death. You're either in for the win or you're out. There's there's one winner and a hell of a lot of losers. No offense, guys, but yeah, there's only one guy taking the trip, but that's what it is.
Well. There you go. There's the picture that Luke's managed to pull up. Callum Chin getting
under that front tire.
Yeah, it's completely off the deck and not even touching the track. But iRacing says it's okay, so that's what you can get away with on a track like this, and that's what half of this is really. Being fast in a sim like this and being fast in the real world is how much you can push the limits and how far you can go and what you can and can't get away with it. And if iRacing lets you get away with stuff like that, then so be it. And everyone is more than free to utilize that. As Kalen Chin on track at the moment, he's the fastest in practice after taking the win from the first of the semi-finals, and he was fast enough to secure pole for the main event. He will start alongside Cody Deeth on the front row of your main event starting grid. It's worth noting Deeth on track has only been quick enough for 7th fastest in this warm-up, despite the track conditions still being pretty much the same as they were from the semi-finals. You can see how hard Callan's pushing at that chicane. That's exactly the curbing that was in that photo as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot at stake for these young guys. It really is a great opportunity, and I really hope that somebody, whoever wins it, it's somebody that really, soaks up that opportunity and gets everything out of it that they possibly can. I'm excited to see who that may be. I was very taken with Hayden Sell's comments with regards to being an engineer, not a driver. I thought that was fabulous. It's great to see not everybody wants to drive the car.
I'm sure if given the opportunity, he would love to still drive the car.
Yep. but if you look back, people like Christian Horner and Toto Wolff, they all started out as drivers, but they realised that, Christian was pretty good. Toto was so-so. But Christian was pretty good, but they realised that there was more to motor racing than just driving the race car, and probably realised they were pretty good. They weren't great. And their future didn't necessarily lie behind the wheel, and it's lovely to see that sort of thought from somebody so young. So he's got a fan. I'm going to be barracking for Hayden out there. Have a great run, mate.
Well, Hayden will be due to start out of position number 3 in the 25-minute race coming up very soon here. Anthony Alessi on screen, starting all the way down to position number 9. It's going to be interesting to see what Anthony can do after getting caught up with a spin at the Villeneuve chicane in the closing stages of the second semi-final a little bit earlier on. Oscar Sulliot will be starting on track, starting out of position number 12 alongside Lincoln Taylor after running out of position 6 in the second semi-final. So from the semi-finals, if you're just joining us, every position in the semi-finals, finishing positions, was a row on the starting grid for the main event. Merely a formality, and now we have the whole field locked and loaded, and we'll be set to go racing very soon.
The guy I feel the most for at the moment is young Christensen there. He's off, I think, 19th off the 19th or 20th on the grid, but it was no fault of his own, and I'm sure that Driscoll didn't sit there and intend to do that. It was just bad circumstances, and that is motor racing, and that does happen. Things go wrong, and they do regularly. And unfortunately, though, young Christensen got taken out there, and there's nothing he could do about it, and went from running P3 and should be there on the 3rd row of the grid, and now he's right at the back. So he's got a big challenge ahead of him. And if I was him, I'd just pull the pin and send it.
just absolutely get after it. Well, there's an old saying that still gets around in racing circles. They say the best ones are won from the back, and I'm sure that sentiment would ring true today if you could pull that kind of feat off. There's the Mecha Wall on the right-hand side, bottom corner of your screen. Well, now up to the main screen. Thanks, Luke, for pulling that up. That's all your drivers in the rig. There's still one vacant rig sitting there, second column from the left.
That's Fletcher Driscoll.
Yeah, so Fletcher due to start from the back of the bus, out of position number 24 in this one. We'll see whether he manages to get back into the rig in the next couple of minutes and joins us for the race. We're about 4 minutes away from the conclusion of this quick warm-up before we get stuck into the main event. It's worth noting as well, I got a message after the race, I managed to see it, telling me that Kane Goonan from New Zealand
Yes.
has only just started using iRacing, has only been on iRacing for 3 days, effectively, and wanted to have a crack at this race. So Goonan doing rather well. Kane due to start out of position number 18 in our main event coming up very shortly.
Let's hope this is the start of something good, and he might be back next season for and he might be there challenging for the win with the experience under his belt of having done this previously. But it's great to see Kane jumping out there and getting involved in this after 3 days on iRacing. And mate, I've got to applaud you. What a fantastic effort, and he's really performed well for somebody with so little experience of the sim world, or I'm not going to say sim world, but iRacing world, because iRacing it's not easy to drive. The cars are very, very carefully modelled. They really do behave a lot like the real thing, that's fantastic. And it also shows you that because it is modelled after the real thing and done so well, that you can get in the thing and actually use real world experience to be fairly quick in it. So I'm looking forward to him, and he's another one who's going to get some big cheers from me during the race.
It's exciting to see some of these names. We're seeing some of the guys getting out and getting that last little bit of practice they need. Driscoll still not in the rig there. We saw for a moment there Lincoln Taylor, who got caught up with that battle that we had earlier on in the second semi-final. Lincoln starting out of position at number 11. Edgar Chen on screen right now, due to start out of position number 23 for the main event, as he charges out of the Toza hairpin at turn 7 and crests the hill into Piratella down at turn 9. It's a very fast part of the racetrack. Really, it's a driver's part of the racetrack right there at turn 9. It's the kind of thing that really excites you as a driver. You can just grab the car by the scruff of the neck and throw it in. There's Kane Goonan on screen. We just spoke about him, the young Kiwi, on his only 3rd day on iRacing, having a crack in the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge, with a grand prize worth over 15,000 Australian dollars, with a fully funded trip for the winner and their guardian, as Kane goes off, to go over to Sepang to take part in an elite driver academy with plenty on offer at the academy itself. Things like media, sponsorship and data analysis, testing and training, nutrition workshops, fitness testing and training, and dedicated direct access to people like engineers and data analysis and things like that can help young drivers looking to build a career gain the skills they need to really advance not just the level of driving that they can put down, but all the other things that surround what makes a great driver. As we pick up on Harrison Spencer, Harrison had a spin in the late stages and got caught up at the very end of the second semi-final. Harrison, as a result, due to start out of position 14 in this main event.
I'm guessing maybe a bit of an Alonso fan. I am, so there's nothing to be ashamed of in being an Alonso fan. What a fantastic guy he is. I met him once. Absolutely delightful. Absolute gentleman. Fabulous guy. Pretty good guy to follow. Oh, that's not very Alonso-like.
That's a very big one to happen right there as well on the exit of Rivazza at turn 18. Don't want to be doing that during the race, as Harrison has it a bit caught up and he's looking to try and limp it across the track.
Trying to sneak it into the pit lane.
Yeah, he's trying to sneak into the pits, but it's going to really matter as practice comes to a close and practice is done and dusted. So, Dave Roberts, it's time to take a look at the starting grid. Kalen Chin, after winning the first of the semi-finals, will start on pole. He had a faster time than the winner of the second semi-final, Cody Deeth, from the Williams Esports entry, to start on the front row. Hayden Sell in the 9.5 Sim Sports entry will join Tice Hodge on row number 2, so Hayden was slightly quicker from the second semi-final. Seth Brown will line up alongside Nico Mendes on row 3, with Thomas Sulyok and Caleb Balak on row 4. Anthony Alessi will line up alongside Callum Newton, starting from row 5, with Lincoln Taylor lining up alongside Oscar Sulyok on the 6th row of the grid.
Oh, Reece Rolland there, beside Harrison Spencer off row 7. Hero 8, Mitch McClure and Ed Filippi, both Australians. Again, we're seeing a lot of Australians on this grid. But very multicultural grid, really representing Southeast Asia. I think it's fantastic to see too. Chris Z there beside Kane Goonan, as we've been talking about. What a great debut for Kane. Alexander Wilson and Joshua Clark off row 10. And then we have Jamie Christensen, who's got a big challenge ahead of him. I think he's got the pace to get well up this field after what happened. He'll have his dander up trying to do that. Beside him is Jack Lewis. And then there's Edgar Chen and Fletcher Driscoll off the back row of the grid. But, doesn't mean they're going to finish there.
No, absolutely not. Anything can happen in the next 25 minutes. The winner taking a fully funded trip to Sepang for the Elite Driver Academy. This is the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. Cars are on the grid, getting ready to fire up and get stuck into this sprint race. To the winner goes the spoils, and I'm sure the elbows are going to come out from everyone in this field, especially the first couple of rows of the starting grid here. We watch Caitlin Chin just primed and ready as the heart rate will start to rise. They all talked about how nervous they were at the start of their semi-finals. How do you think the nerves would be going right now as we go green and we get underway? A good start from Chin, getting away from Cody Deeth on the outside of the front row. Deeth immediately moves over to try and slot in behind Caitlin and has to go for a bit of a defensive look down into the Tamburello chicane for turn 1. It's Caitlin Chin leading the way from Cody Deeth in second, Hayden Sell third. We got spinners at the back.
We got someone round the wrong way. There, going the wrong way through the first chicane is not a good idea.
Not at all. That has caught up a couple. I think Mitch McClure. Mitch McClure not showing up as often running to start here, so he's already in the pit lane. I'm not sure whether he was caught up in the incident or ended up not making the starting grid as Chin drags it out of the Tosa hairpin. With Deeth and Sell, Tyce Hodge from second in his semi-final up to P4. Seth Brown in P5. Looking at a couple of the hard chargers here. Callum Newton on the back of Lincoln Taylor for P10 and 11 on the racetrack. Looking for Christensen. He's still down in 18th position after starting 21st following the incident that happened earlier on in his semi-final race. Moving up to P17 now, dispatching of Chris Z.
Now, we heard from Callum Chin after the heat how nervous he was and how he wasn't feeling very confident in the cold tyres. Now, I'm guessing Cody Deeth has heard that as well, and so he's putting pressure on as hard as he can. And we have there Harrison Spencer and Reece Rowland both under investigation from race control for that incident on turn 1, so on lap 1. So, wow, we'll see what happens from that. But, so Kalen had openly said he was very uncomfortable on the cold tyres, and I'm sure Deeth's heard that, and if I heard that, I'd be putting the same pressure on that Cody's doing right now. And Cody's a bit of a master of iRacing. He's straight past. He is, I believe, the youngest ever what they call 10,000 I rating. Bit of a touch there, and somebody speared completely off the road. That's Harrison Spencer.
And that sends him off into the dirt. But he is Cody Deeth, one of the youngest 10K I rating drivers. Was it in Australia?
No, I believe, and I may be wrong, but I believe he's the youngest 10K I rating competitor in the world. Wow. In iRacing, so that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool achievement. It means he spends a hell of a lot of time doing iRacing and probably not enough on his studies, as Mum and Dad would say, I'd reckon. But I'd certainly be saying that. But still, that is his studies. It's what he loves, and again, who knows? Who knows where he could end up? But sliding it wide. Now certainly he's under pressure. And I think Chin's got the pace, but can he find a way by? Because it's pretty hard in these cars. It's all about not making a mistake, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it is, but we've seen from the semi-finals already that the advantage of the toe can be pretty big around here at Imola with several straights here as we see a 10-second penalty coming through for Harrison Spencer after causing that incident on lap 1. I see there's another investigation going on in the background with Ed Filippi and Harrison Spencer. I think that was the incident that happened on lap 2 down at Tamburello chicane. We talk about the toe making things a little bit harder here. This is what it's like for Callum Chin. He's getting pulled along by Cody Deeth. Deeth covers off the inside line. He's going to force Callan to go around the outside down at Tamburello chicane. Can he brake late enough? They're going to get hard on the brakes. They're going to go side by side, and Callan Chin pulls it off. Beautiful pass from Callan. This is the kind of fighting that we wanted to see, and Hayden Sell wants to buy his way into this battle as well. He brings it right up onto the gearbox, and I think they almost touched under brakes into the Villeneuve chicane. Chin leads from Deeth in second, and Hayden Sell buying his way into that
Hodge
one,
is
and here
right
comes
on the back
Hodge
of this
right
as well.
This is fantastic. This is exactly the kind of battles we wanted to see here in your grand final. As they charge out of the Tosa hairpin, it's a
25 minutes
four-car
of
battle
this.
pack.
I'm looking, Christensen off the back of the grid's already up to P11 after the first lap, so that's a pretty impressive start from him.
It is impressive, and what these guys are going to have to be very careful of is not running into each other, because there's no second chances in this one. There's no pit stop. They don't need to take any fuel. I'm hovering it down as to even if they have a big shunt, will we even require the use of a safety car tonight?
There's no safety car.
No safety car, so there you go. So man, it's a one-shot deal. You have to be so careful when racing that close. We've already seen a couple of pretty nasty netcode incidences happening earlier in the semi-finals as Deeth monsters up onto the gearbox of Callan Chin down at the Ravazza left-handers. In this battle, well and truly far from over.
They've got one of the approaching a lap car in front, so let's hope he doesn't get in the way and gives them a clean run. A beautiful bit of driving. He just pulled over to the left and backed off and let the four championship contenders or people vying for the win. Here we go. Now, deep down the outside again on Chen. They've swapped places twice. Is it going to be three? Yes, it is. Oh, same again.
Wowza.
Are they going to do this every lap for 25 minutes? I hope so.
Oh, Hayden Sell is hoping so as well, because he might be the first in line to pick up the pieces if they come unstuck, as Deeth has to go defensive into the Villeneuve chicane. Sell right up onto the back of Chin now, who has to go defensive on the way down to turn 7 at the Tosa hairpin. And that has opened the door on Sell, and through goes Ty Hodge. So Tyce Hodge getting the move done for third. He can see the leaders, and he can see the chance to go all the way to Sepang right in front of him. Here's that move again. Watch this. Sell just holding it out a little bit too wide on the entry to the corner, and Hodge says thank you very much, and that put Sell right off onto the edge of the racetrack, almost put him off into the grass that can sometimes be like Disney on ice with these cars.
Oh, we've lost Hodge. Hodge is slowing down. He's down to 9th now, so he's something's happened there. There he is back in the pack, so all I can imagine is had a bit of an issue there, maybe up over the top here.
We'll see here into turn 9 what happened here for Tyce Hodge. He's just coming in. Oh, and he's touched with Hayden Sell. And I don't know whether that was a net code or a serious amount of collision between them, because if that's a serious collision, then it's going to show up bad on Hayden Sell's record as well. And that has allowed the leaders to break away.
I don't think it's particularly Hayden Sell's fault. I don't think it was particularly anybody's fault. But Hayden was on the out. Oh,
there you go.
That's Hayden Sell.
There's the answer. So I think
I imagine he's got must have damage.
Yeah, I think it might. Yeah, you can see the car is not happy, and it's not looking healthy. So Hayden Sell's chances of winning this race are dashed as quickly as they were looking pretty prosperous.
Yep.
The same for Tyce Hodge, and they're going to be pretty much out of contention here. So next in line would be Seth Brown and Caleb Balak. You can see them at the back of that shot fighting over 3rd and 4th position, while Cody Deeth leads the race from Callan Chin down into the Tosa hairpin.
So looking at that, I'm imagining Seth Brown sitting back there going, oh, now car 4, Jack Lewis, causing an incident in lap 1, and he has a 5-second penalty. But I imagine Seth Brown sitting back there going, come on, boys, take each other, have a go, dive down the inside, take each other out, give me the win.
It's not to say that we would ever, as a competitor, be wishing ill on your fellow racers, but he needs them to at least battle and slow each other down to make up that 4-second difference from 2nd of Chin back to where he sits in P3 as they come out of the 2nd set of chicanes here at the Variante Alta, making their way down towards Ravazza. You can see past all the great architecture in the region, the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy, where the Imola circuit is based, and Deeth is just pushing every last inch that he
A
can.
little wide there, wasn't he?
So was Callan Chin. They're both really pushing the envelope with track limits out there. And here we go. In the toe again comes Callan Chin. Now, we've seen
And
the move
inside this
the
time.
outside from 2 laps. Now, this time Cody gives Callan the inside run, thinking he can maybe replicate that down the outside braking maneuver. Can he do it? No, he cannot. Callan Chin will claim the lead this time by. And Cody Deeth is in the hot seat to try and pick him off.
So, Chris, who was the first one over the line? Because also coming on into that last lap, if they're nose to tail on that last lap, can you slipstream past by the finish line?
Well, that would be the interesting call to look at. We'll have to keep an eye on that and might get a look at that next time they try and go side by side. It's a minor gain, and I don't think you have a long enough time in the toe to be able to pull out and grab the win in a drag race, but quite potentially that could be the strategy. You don't want to be the leader on the turn of the last lap, so you get the drag all the way to the start line. So
here we see Tice Hodge leading Mendez and Christensen. So Christensen's now up to P8 off the back of the grid, and behind him is Alessia Newton. This is a great little battle pack of 5 cars, and Christensen's certainly the mover and shaker in this, and you can see he is throwing everything at this.
yeah, he's really charging his way up the field. In fact, the P8 steering at the gearbox of Mendez as they head into the turn 14 and 15 chicane. Just big bites of the curving on both sides to bounce the car across and set up the exit. He's made a great drive from 21st on the grid, and he's showing some fantastic pace at the moment. Last time a 46.3. He's still really hurting on outright pace compared to your race leaders doing 43.6s. As he gets a little bit checked up down at Ravante.
And here we go again.
And, man, they just switch around it. So it's after the line that they get in front. So that's important to keep in mind. You can't necessarily be second in line at the turn of the final lap and be able to be drag racing to get the win at the end. Cody Deeth resumes this race in the lead from Callan Chin in second as they head down towards the Villeneuve chicane.
There's not much between them, is there, Chris? And that Williams Esports, yes, that is Williams F1 Esports, which Cody's involved in, and one of their drivers. So that's pretty impressive already at his age to be involved with an international esports body or team like Williams. That's fantastic, and isn't it great to see another Aussie at Williams? I'm going.
Absolutely, we're going to have a bit of pride in our guys coming from Australia, and at such a young age he's doing a great job. This would be a huge opportunity for his driving career. You can see Callan has just dropped off a little bit, maybe a small error. He's lost out about 0.8 of a second at the back of Cody Deeth.
Here we go. Yes. So you will have got a slowdown from that as well, Chris.
Yeah, he would have got the slowdown.
In iRacing, when you go off track like that, iRacing actually gives you a message and it says, you have to give back a second, you have to slow down and wait until the counter comes down. So it's much fairer than it is in the real world because it's defined black and white limits, not somebody's judgment of. He's had to slow down and give that time back. That's why there's a gap now. So the same thing iRacing is off track. So if you go off track, you get what's called an incident point. You also get an incident point for connecting with another car or hitting a fence or whatever. And there's a limit to the amount of incident points. I don't think we have that in play today, but we certainly do have the slowdowns.
Absolutely, they are built into it as Alexander Wilson off the road down at Ravante is side by side with Alessi and Christensen trying to go around the outside, but he can't make the move happen. And Christensen will stay into P9 now as Alessi moves up to the 8th spot and then losing touch with Mendez. And Callum Newton now looking for a move on the Vermilion Sim Sports entry of Christensen, who just aggressively fired it to the inside curving to cover off the line. Look at this. Aggressively points it at the inside of Alessi now, but still cannot pull the move off. Some great racing all the way through this field. They are leaving nothing in the tank. As I was worrying whether that 0.8 of a second deficit would be a nail in the coffin for Callan Chin, but he's managed to work it back to 0.6 of a second. Race leader Cody Deeth. So we'll keep a little eye on that one. You can see it on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, whether Chin can close the gap back up and make up the difference. Look at this. That's
That
going
was
to be a slowdown, surely.
Got to be a slowdown.
We'll let iRacing figure that out because he's still going after it. As Christensen, he's on the outside heading into the chicane, and he's going to have to race
That's a
himself
slowdown as
careful.
well.
And Newton definitely going to be getting the off track for that one, and running off at the chicane.
They're certainly playing things a bit wild out there. It's wild boys that play today, but they're running wide and all over the road. But Chin still, he just hasn't been able to close that little gap. So he'll be head down doing everything he can. It's now only 0.4 of a second, but it might as well be a mile.
Yeah, it's quite a insurmountable gap, but to at least the us mere mortals, Dave, because he has managed to pull in just a little bit and staying in touch with Cody Deep. But Chin managing to close the gap up, but allegedly had an off track and picked himself up some incident points. So you have to be cautious of that. But look at this, he's really closed up now on the exit of the Tosa hairpin. He's within 2.5 of a second. Kalen Chin is back in business with 10 minutes to go. This battle, it looked like it might have simmered down for a moment after the mistake from Kalen a couple of laps ago, but he's now fired it back up, and I'm sure very soon we're going to see some pretty big moves coming in the closing stages.
He's a little bit wary of that Aqua Minerale where he had the moment earlier. So you'd see he just dropped a little bit there as he came through Aqua Minerale because he's had that issue and he doesn't want to do it twice.
No, you don't, especially through that corner. It's a faint right-hander, and the car gets unsettled. But as soon as you kind of hit the apex at turn 11, you need to be on the brakes for turn 12, and it's so easy to pinch a right front and not be able to arrest the car for the corner, and then you run wide into that runoff area there. As you see, Jamie Christensen joined with Oscar Suliok and Thomas Suliok coming out of turn 13 and heading up towards the 14-15 chicane. And it can really undo that very quickly.
Unfortunately, Christensen's now back down to 12, so it's one step forward and 2 steps back at the moment, unfortunately.
Here we go. Kalen Chin trying to go around the outside at Tamburello chicane. Deeth hard on the defensive, takes a little bit of a bite of the inside curbing and defends the position for now. 9 minutes to go here. In a one shot only, the winner here provisionally will take out the grand prize to go to Sepang in late September to the Elite Driver Academy, thanks to Motorsports Australia in this Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. Both of these drivers in the box seat. It could be either one of these, but if they come unstuck, it could be Seth Brown or Caleb Balak sitting further behind in 3rd and 4th. Tice Hodge in P5 at the moment on your running order from Taylor, Mendez, Newton, Suliok and Alessi, your top 10.
Certainly the last lap, if it gets down to the last lap and it's this close, it is a throw it all at it. I mean, if you go down the inside, you've got to give it a shot, haven't you? Because if you're in second, there is no second place in this race, Chris.
That's right. So most people wouldn't be too hard to justify the action to say, well, if I finish second, I get nothing. If I have a crack and take him out and someone else wins, I still get nothing. But if I can pull it off, and you're saying there's a chance if I can pull it off, then we might be on a trip to Malaysia. So that's probably what's playing on the minds of these two right now, as Chin just uses every last inch of the exit curving, trying to chase here. He's got a good charge, the toe helping him. Which side is he going to have to go? So Deeth wants the outside run into turn 1 this time by. So they've been choosing and picking, and Deeth is really in control of the destiny here, because whatever side he goes, Chin will go the other way around, and this time Kalen Chin will have the lead at the Tamburello chicane.
I think Chin got to the start-finish line there first. I actually think he got past Deeth before the start-finish line on that time through.
Well, Cody having a bit of a look there at the Villeneuve chicane. It'll be interesting to see. We'll have to really keep an eye on that.
Maybe our director could have a look at that and see if he can get us a nice little still frame as they went across the start-finish line there. Just who was really in the lead, because here we go, perfect. And let's have a look at this. So is that the start-finish line there?
Start-finish line there.
Okay.
So
because I was thinking it was up, the start line's up further.
Up at where they started on the grid, but it is a Formula 1 circuit, so the line that registers them is actually not where the pole position start is on the starting grid, I believe. Oh, a bit of a bite at the curb there for Kalen. And that's slowed up his exit coming out of turn 12 and 13. He's on the defensive now as Deeth looks to the outside of the chicane, but there's no move that can really come, or no good can come from a move up there. So he tucks back in behind, and this actually gives Kalen just a moment of a breather. But very quickly, Cody's going to get the run. He's already starting to close up that gap. Coming down into the Ravazza left-handers, closes right up under brakes. As we go on board, how good is this shot? Using the exit curving onto the main straight, and this time it's Cody Deeth's turn to get the charge in the toe. Which side will Kalen Chin choose on the racetrack? Kalen hugging that right-hand side, and Cody still closing up. He didn't really get the run from Ravazza that Kalen has been getting, and he has to pull to the driver's right to go around the outside at turn 1. Hard on the brakes, and they're going side by side, and Cody Deeth muscles in out of the way. A brilliant piece of driving there from Cody, and he went around the outside. They were too wide into the Tamburello chicane. I'd love to see that from a third angle. Luke's already on it. Here we go. Watch this. Deeth closing down the main straight. Underneath the Gantry Bridge. Pulls to driver's right. Is alongside as they hit the braking marker, and then goes too wide. Just makes the next part of the corner around the outside to grab the race lead. That is a gutsy move with 5 minutes to go for Cody Deeth leading this one out.
You got to be oh so careful there, Chris, because those big curves, there's like bollard curves, and you hit one of those, it'll launch the car and potentially break the suspension as well, and they are millimeters off it.
Yeah, they are really cutting it fine. They went too wide through turn 10 a moment ago on the way down towards Aqua Minerale as they come up through the Variante Alta chicane at turns 14, 15. Deeth leads, but Chin is starting to show a nose where you wouldn't really consider a move to be on there, and what he's doing is he's trying to unsettle Cody Deeth and trying to get him looking around, getting panicked a little bit, and try and force a mistake in the battle for the race lead. Meanwhile, Seth Brown has broken the back of that battle with Caleb Balak back to P4 now. Tyce Hodge running at your top 5, but it's on again.
Once more.
And Deeth chooses the outside line as they come down the main straight. Chin gets a better run off of Ravazza. I think that is actually helping him get the slipstream better onto the main straightaway. And this time they almost still are side by side, and they go all the way through all 3 parts of Tamburello chicane, still side by side heading into Villeneuve. And look at this, Chin actually held him out there.
Yeah, they give each other just enough room, which is really good to see. But boy, oh boy, they are close. He thought for a second there about swapping sides, going down the inside. There's nothing in this. We've still got 3.5 minutes to go. So we're looking at another 2 laps, is it, Chris?
Yeah, something like that. There's only really a handful more opportunities, so you're going to start to see the gloves really come off on some defensive driving moves, I think, from Kalen or whoever does manage to be in the lead. Cody going for a really gutsy look down the inside at Aqua Minerale and gets it done at turn 12.
That
was a very, very wild move down at turns 11 and 12. And Cody Deeth goes back to the race lead. Let's watch that one again. Look at this. He set him up. And it started all the way back at turn 9, going around the outside. He had track position down the bottom of the hill and was very good not to pinch a front right going into turn 12 and understeer off the road into the side of Kalen, who's now looking for his run down at Ravazza. He starts to set it up, tries to get a better run off of Ravazza here, and watch the toe come into effect as they come onto the main straightaway. 2.5 minutes left to go here for your Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge.
No, we've got 2 more to go at least.
Yes. A fully funded trip to Sepang for the Elite Driver Academy, up for grabs for these 2 youngsters, or anyone who may win this race. But at the moment, it's these 2 side by side again through Tamburello, and this time advantage Cody Deeth as he slid across the racetrack.
I just feel like Deeth is just, he wants a little bit more at the moment. He's just, he's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more, assertive in his passing. So, interesting to see where we go from here. But I'm sort of feeling the weight is in Cody's corner at the moment.
You can definitely see he's moving with a bit more purpose than Callan Chin is. It's hard to tell, but just the little signs of body language from the way the cars are moving around on the racetrack. Cody Deeth is a bit more decisive about where he wants to be as we look at the mega wall into the closing stages there. Cody in the bottom left of screen on the mega wall. Callan Chin second from bottom right, fighting it out for the race lead as we get a much bigger look at it there. And we watch the battle between Deeth and Chin coming out of the second set of chicanes. We're inside less than 2 minutes to go, almost a minute to go. The white flag will be in the air this time by, and only a small handful of opportunities remain. 0.4 of a second is the margin. Callan Chin is either giving up, which I wouldn't put past him, or he's
not going to give up
for a charge.
Yeah, he's not going to give up. He's just dropped back a little bit. He's just had a couple of tough corners. May have been pushing it a little bit hard, getting a little bit close. And when you get right up under the gearbox of one of these cars, it's pretty hard to see ahead. So you get a bit unsighted, and you've got to lift off a little bit to make sure you don't clobber one of these curbs or whatever. It's very hard to drive right under that gearbox like he's doing right now. But they're left, they're right. He's on the grass. Let's use a bit of grass.
If that's how you have to go to get the job done, as he almost puts it in the sand trap at the Villeneuve chicane. And a big dive!
It was a touch there, I think.
Almost brought it all undone for both of them. This is going to start to get really antsy as time has expired. They are on the final lap of this race, and that hands a sizable advantage to Cody Deeth, who survived that advance.
Are we under white flag?
We should have been. Hopefully, we'll get to know as we'll bring it around. So we are on the final lap, we're being told, through Aqua Minerale for the final time then. Cody Deeth with a solid advantage. 5.7 of a second on the charge up towards the Alta chicane. It turns 14 and 15. A big move from Callan Chin, and he's run very wide coming off the chicane from Callan, and that has dropped the advantage out to 0.8 of a second.
And he's got to slow down now.
Yeah, it is all falling the way of Cody Deeth.
It's all over.
All but signed, sealed, and delivered then for Deeth out of Ravazza for the final time. And getting the run onto the main straightaway, he fought hammer and tong to get this job done. But Cody Deeth brings it to the line to take the win here in the Motorsports Australia Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. A valiant fight from Callan Chin to come up short at the end there in second. Caleb Balak coming home in third from Tice Hodge in P4. Seth Brown lost out and fell to P5. But Cody Deeth takes the win and is punching his ticket to Sepang.
I've got to say, Callan Chin there, he may have finished second, but he had a grin from ear to ear, which was great to see.
We just caught a shot of that. I believe some family coming in to congratulate Callan on a brilliant drive and a massive effort to try and get the win in this race. But man, oh man, some of the moves that we were seeing from these youngsters in places you wouldn't even think they could come. But this man is victorious this afternoon. Cody Deeth in the Williams Esports entry, scoring himself a big win for his career and taking the win from Imola.
I think there's a donut coming up here.
And yes, some celebratory donuts for Cody Deeth. Why not? To the value of $15,000. Probably one of the most important races of this young man's racing career so far, to secure the grand prize from Motorsports Australia in the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. A celebratory donut. We've been confirmed. All locked and loaded. Cody Deeth is your winner. Dave Roberts, what a race between those two.
It was on from the moment the green flag dropped till the checker did. There was not a minute spare. This was the move. This is where Callan has thrown everything out. I'm sure they touched there.
If they didn't, it would have been absolutely nothing between them. It was a last-ditch effort. Let's see it again from the gearbox camera from Cody Deeth as Callan has a big look. It was probably a red mist descending moment, but man, oh man, so close. And he pinched the tyre and Callan almost spun it on the curbing down at Tosa. But Cody Deeth, on screen on the bottom right-hand corner, has now secured himself the spot into the Elite Driver Academy in
Thanks,
Spain.
hey Chris.
He better, because it's only a few weeks away. He has jumped into the green room as we check on your results there. Cody Deeth taking the win from Callan Chin in second. 8/10 to the second was the margin, but that doesn't tell the story of what the race and how it unfolded, Dave. Caleb Balak in third and Tice Hodge P4.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Seth Brown there at the finish, because Seth was really doing a great job there, but obviously something's happened in that last lap or so. A bit of a pity for bit of a pity for Seth.
So we bring him in, and we get him in our broadcast booth for Cody Deeth and Callan Chin, and we've got Caleb Balak in here as well. Your top three from the Motorsports Australia Junior Esports Challenge. Congratulations, Cody Deeth, you're a winner this afternoon.
Oh man, I'm blown away. That was an amazing race. That was really good. I'm happy with that.
Mate, talk us through some of the moves and some of the racing there with Callan, because you guys were leaving nothing in the tank when you got the prize like this on the line. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I know Callan raced well. I know he races well, and he keeps it clean. I was trusting on that, and he did so. I'm really thankful. That was some awesome battling there.
How about the final lap there, when you managed to just get your nose in front? You saw Callan had kind of dropped back a little bit from what may have been an error, or just trying to get a bit of closing speed on you. What was going through your mind as you started that final lap?
Oh, I just hope he didn't get a good enough slipstream down the front straight to get past me. Luckily, he made a bit of a mistake, so I was able to keep the lead and just drive away to the finish.
Man, oh man, what does this mean for your career now? To take this win, probably and arguably the biggest win of your career so far. We know you've had some big moments in iRacing, but to now score this prize package to go to the Elite Driver Academy, what does this mean to you?
Man, I'm lost for words. Seriously. Like, it's just, the guys that organise this, Motorsport Australia, FRG, and put on like fantastic prizes, fantastic racing, everything. Can't be thankful enough.
So Cody, give us a bit of a background. What sort of motorsport have you done? What's your background? What's your involvement beyond sim racing?
I used to do go-karting, but unfortunately ran out of money to do that, and I go out to the go-kart track every now and then to help out with certain things and stuff like that, and I just love my motorsport. That's all.
And so also the tie-up with Williams Esport, how did that come about? Tell us a bit of a story on that.
Well, I don't know. I guess one day they approached me, and I was like, I couldn't turn it down. Like, being with a team like Williams is a dream come true.
So for now, it sounds like sim racing's the thing for now, and that you never know when that can turn into something in the real world. As it may do, you have an opportunity to start that happening in just a few weeks' time.
Yeah, I'd love to hop into a car, IRL. We'll see how that goes, but for now, sim racing's doing the job for me.
Yep, awesome job.
Thank you.
Congratulations from us. You've certainly put on a great show. You and Callan just put on a fantastic show. That's some of the best battling that in a sim race that I've seen in a long time.
Thank you.
Congratulations, mate. Hang on with us and stick around. We'll have a chat with Callan Chin, second place. Not quite the result that you wanted, but man, oh man, what a fight to get there.
Yeah, first off, I want to congratulate Cody. He had excellent racecraft. He was amazing under braking. He positioned his car perfect, and that's what won him the race today. And full credibility to him. And man, I made a bit of a mistake on the second last lap, and I tried to catch up, and then I tried to make a big slant in the hairpin, and that was under desperation. But yeah, it was a fun race after all.
We were watching that move down at the torso hairpin. We're getting the replay of it right now as he went for that massive dive. That was really a last chance bid, wasn't it? That was all you really had left to try and have a crack and try and win this race.
Yeah, I realized that there wasn't really any other overtaking spots. Maybe the last corner, but that's way more riskier. So, and Cody was stronger in the middle part of the track. So that was really just the last opportunity that I had. But it didn't work out. But it was still a really cracking race.
Well, mate,
It was.
may not have come up with the overall win today, but a fantastic effort to be second. Congratulations to you on a brilliant race and putting on a show for us here in the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge.
Yeah, I have to thank Motorsports Australia, FRG, Esports, and everyone involved in the organization of this event. You know, without them, this wouldn't have occurred. And yeah, it's wonderful being able to participate in it.
Beautiful stuff, mate. Congratulations. We'll now go to a quick one with Caleb Balak. You managed to be third this afternoon. You didn't really get to be involved in the lead battle, but to be third in this quality of field for the Junior Esports Challenge is still a stout result for you, my friend.
Yeah, well, congratulations to both of them. Didn't quite have the pace to go with them, but I seemed to come out as the best of the rest.
And sometimes that's what you need. There was an incident there for Seth Brown that allowed you to step up and move forward in that one. What does the future hold for Caleb Balak? What are you looking forward to in the near future for you?
Oh, well, as you know, I've just recently started Formula Ford, so just trying to get that going and become better in there. And then obviously try to get into a higher up category.
Well, mate, we wish you the best of luck in the coming years, and I'm sure we'll be keeping our eyes out for a lot of activity from yourself in the coming years. There's another replay of another spin right in front of you. We'll go back, though, to Cody Deeth. Congratulations one more time, mate. You are punching your ticket, and you best start packing your bags to head off to Sepang in a few weeks' time in late September for this driver academy.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So,
Can't wait.
Dad's going with it. Is Dad going with it?
He sure will be, yeah.
You'd be a pretty proud dad today, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd say he's pretty happy.
Well, I'm sure he's most happy because he won't have to pay for it. That's the best part of this one.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So congratulations, mate. That wraps up this fantastic event. Thanks to Motorsports Australia for the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge. Cody Deeth is headed to the Driver Academy, taking out a brilliant race win with Kalen Chin, your runner-up, and Caleb Balak third. Dave Roberts, what a day of racing we've had from the semi-finals through to the main event, and we're sending a young Australian off to the Driver Academy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was some fantastic racing. The final, those two guys going at it full on, millimeters between them. You know, this is sim racing. We never had this before. You know, this is something completely new to motorsport. As I said, I keep saying there's new grassroots of motorsport, and it really is. But gee whiz, there's some talent on show out there today.
There absolutely was, and there's tons more talent coming through the ranks who are starting to realize, and there's a lot of people starting to sit up and take notice about the talent that is coming through the sim racing world here in Australia. And I'm sure this is just the beginning of not necessarily probably the same thing to continue coming, but plenty more opportunities to start cropping up for the sim racing world here in Australia to potentially build a career. So it's a great start, and it's great to be involved from my perspective. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to Motorsports Australia for putting this on, the Asia-Pacific Junior Esports Challenge, and for getting together to make this happen, especially also to the boys in the background from FRG in the stewards room and making things happen with Formula Racing Group to put this on. And Luke from Race Stars TV for bringing us the broadcast this afternoon. It's been an incredible set of races, and it's over. Thank you again for watching the Asia Pacific Junior Esports Challenge here on Race Stars TV.